My name's Don.
And I'm Peter.
And we are two plebs talking about... California.
This week in the DPRC.
Sure enough. And, in a sort of peak California-ish moment, and apparently very popular this week, we're extending medical coverage to illegal immigrants.
Yeah, well, I thought we already did.
Yeah. But we're now doing it more.
How so?
So, previously what we did is we covered the illegal immigrants age 18, well, under 18, right? Under the Medi-Cal program.
Right.
Which is your meta whatever that's, Medicare, but for your state,
yeah,
right?
Your state medical program.
Your poor and your whatever they are, right?
Yes.
And so we just said, well, if you're an illegal immigrant under age 18, then, yes, even though you're not a citizen, yes, we meant you.
Okay.
And so we've been talking about what we were going to do for illegal immigrants over 18 for quite some time.
Jack and Squat?
Since Newsom got elected, actually.
Oh, okay. No, we're doing all the things.
Yeah. And I know you might think Jack and Squat, but we're...
No. I would prefer Jack and Squat.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me otherwise.
Yeah. And so what we're doing is basically extending, seemingly with no requirements of any variety other than being an illegal immigrant, Medi-Cal up to age 26.
Okay, I'm not even going to bother asking why, because these people are here with they're just trying to make a fresh start. They have nothing, no home, no job. They need medical coverage. I'm sure is the reason why.
I'm not even sure it goes that far. I think we're really more just at, well, we should do things for them. And I'm not entirely sure it extends beyond that.
Okay.
And so, because state budget projections are always correct and
yes.
have never been off even by $1, we're pretty sure this is only going to cost us $100 million a year. Now, to be fair, it's only 98. But, basically $100 million.
All right, either these guys are absolutely horrible at math or they're just flat out lying.
Now, you might think that, but they have done things.
I'm sorry, the past track record on how things are going to run and cost has always been wrong. So either they have always been lying or they've always been horrible at math.
Well, yeah. And this goes right on back to a thing that happened way back at the beginning of the show where I said, look, the CBO is terrible at this because the government is just terrible at this, right? There's just this assumption that, well, we averaged out cost and then we said that there are something like 90,000 illegal immigrants in California, which is a ridiculous number, and I have no idea where they got it. But
they have a number.
Right. And, to be fair, from ages 18 to 26, there are 90,000 people we're going to cover, and that's going to cost about $100 million.
Okay.
Which is, only about $100,000 a year in medical costs for all of the illegal immigrants age 18 to 26. But I guess that's just going to be a cool average, and that's going to work somehow. Now, what's amazing about this is, guaranteeably, that's not going to be what we pay.
No.
And equally guaranteeably, if all you've done, and dear California, this seems to be what you're driving at, is say, as soon as you say you're an illegal immigrant, you get free health care. And maybe this is the point here. Then everyone's just going to say they're an illegal immigrant.
Right. I mean, how do you prove that I'm not an illegal immigrant?
Good question. I have no idea.
I don't have my I'm here illegally papers.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Advice for everyone in California. Clearly, you're all illegal immigrants now because you get stuff.
Free healthcare, do it.
Now,
as long as you're 26 and under.
Yeah, basically. And so, On top of that, of course, the problem with any of these Medicare for All plans is that, and that's what this is, it's just Medicare for all illegal immigrants.
Right.
Because, by the way, that's not a rule that applies to citizens. You don't get Medicare just for being an American citizen up to age 26.
Nope.
Because California.
Right, no, it's only for the people who are in the country illegally.
Yes. So, I mean, look, that definitely doesn't incentivize people to declare themselves illegal immigrants so that they can be part of the superior class that gets stuff from the government. That would never happen.
No.
I mean, and in a state that universally abuses any sort of welfare program, I'm certain that won't happen.
Nope.
So, that'll be nice.
Right.
But more importantly here, these projections always assume something ridiculous. And I can't find how they got this exact one, but considering how many times I've read the predictions for Medicare for All, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's something like they went average cost of medical care per year for all 40 million people in California.
Right.
Divided by, total cost for California divided by 40 million, average cost per person. And then they took that and they said, well, that's what the cost is.
Right.
Well, here's the problem with that. People who don't have insurance tend not to go to the doctor as much.
Right.
People who have large copays tend not to go to the doctor as much.
Right.
These are dissuasive measures from just going to the hospital or doctor every 5 minutes. Well, once you say everything is free, the dissuasive measure goes away.
Right. They just show up and they're like, yeah, he scraped his knee. Take care of it.
Now, to give you an idea of how ridiculous this is, they do provide the number for the under age 18 cost of medical care for illegal immigrants, though they don't tell you how many.
Okay.
Which is to say $360 million.
Okay.
So, apparently, I'm expected to believe that there's, 90,000, right? So that must mean there's somewhere in the vicinity of 360,000? Or maybe the health care for people under age 18 is just that much higher. It's 3.5 times what it is for an adult.
Right.
I don't think so, but...
I don't think so either.
Maybe I'm just wrong.
That dollar total sounds a lot closer to what it's going to end up costing to add on up to 26.
Doesn't it, though? Which is going to push the illegal immigrant dollar amount, if I'm being pretty generous, to slightly over $500 million.
Yeah.
So, which, by the way, will in no way incentivize actual illegal immigrants from the rest of the country to come here and then use that system.
Right.
Because in reading this, basically what you just told these people is, if you live in Nevada right now, and you make garbage wages as an illegal immigrant, and you move to California, you get $100,000 a year pay raise to be paid out only in medical expenses.
Right.
And by the way, this certainly doesn't suggest people from other countries should move here. Because, well, look, I'm 20, but I have this cancer, so what I'm going to do is take a flight over there for a 2-week vacation, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, I'm just going to let my visa expire so that I can be a healthcare tourist in California and get American healthcare in California for free.
Right.
I mean, who would do such a thing? Except everyone that's dying of a horrible disease under age 26.
From another country.
Right.
They just heard, I have a free ticket to get myself taken care of.
Absolutely. Because reasons.
Now, I'm not going to say that every single person in that situation in the world is going to do this, but some percentage of them will.
Well, there's a financial barrier to entry to flying from, Africa to California.
Hands down.
However, if you have the money and Africa is going to let you die for whatever reason, you're making the flight.
Right.
I don't blame these people in the slightest. The incentives are there in perfect alignment with doing that.
Right.
And equally speaking, if you're in any other country in the world, which, by the way, is extra hilarious because of the healthcare tourism from Canada, the UK, Australia, and everything else, now all these people need to do is fly over here illegally, right?
As long as they're under age 26.
Under age 26, come over, wait for their 2-week visa to expire, get all the health care they want, and then drive over to a red state and get deported back home for free.
Yeah.
Good job, California. And by the way, with Arizona, right there, I'm sure they'll take care of it for you.
Oh, yeah.
So, you can go live in LA for a couple of years while you get your healthcare problem solved, and then, drive over to Arizona and just walk over to an ICE station and be like, hey, I'm here illegally. And then they'll deport you back to where you came from for free.
Yeah, deport me.
I mean, it's really only a one-way ticket you need.
I surrender and plead guilty simultaneously. Just send me home.
Exactly. I'm not fighting it. Just put me back. If you could manage this airport, that'd be great.
Right.
And this definitely, by the way, will happen. 100% this happens. I don't know how many times, but
it's going to happen. It's I would put money on the fact that this is going to happen, and we'll never hear about it.
Yeah. We'll hear about it. I'll hear about it, which means you'll hear about it.
Well, there's that. I mean, we'll make sure they hear about it if we hear about it.
Yes.
That's kind of our thing.
But, anyway, in the worlds of things that were guaranteed to happen, right?
Right.
And, of course, we talked about previously because, we keep telling you this stuff is coming. Summer has arrived.
Right.
And so, we're shutting off everybody's power. Eh? Isn't that great? Yeah?
We knew this was coming.
Yeah. But, not only are we shutting off everybody's power, because PG&E is going, look, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, we're not getting hit with lawsuits again. We're shutting off power.
And so PG&E is covering about 20,000 people, which in a state of 40 million is not a lot. Don't get me wrong. But basically, if you're in Northern California, there's a decent chance that PG&E kills your power, which, by the way, if that happens before I move and there's not a show, that's why. And so, that's what they're doing, is just going to whole towns and going, yeah, look, we're just shutting your power off, which is producing a hilarious side effect.
Which is?
Turns out people are going down and buying portable generators.
Yeah.
And I mean, who could see that coming?
Because a portable generator and the fuel to keep it going is cheaper than a solar array and a battery.
Yeah, it is.
By a lot.
Yeah, like a couple of orders of magnitude. I mean, you can get a really nice generator for a couple of grand that will power your house. 100 and some change for solar panels. So...
Right.
I
thought solar panels were like, 30,000.
Oh, that's after state subsidies if you qualify.
So. And then there's the battery.
Yes, which
you would need in this particular circumstance.
And so you could do all that, or you could just go get a generator. Which, by the way, is invariably going to piss off all the hippies because they're all diesel generators.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, if you want a generator powerful enough to power your entire house,
right,
it's going to be a big one, and it's going to be diesel.
Yeah, I mean, basically. And so, shock of shocks, that's what's happening. And so, PG&E is getting a little bit left off the hook here because basically everyone is going around just producing their own power,
right? Which
I'm sure is easing the grid there, and more importantly, is keeping them from getting sued for hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. Because that's what happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while that's happening, so put that off to the side for a moment.
Right.
The state is issuing a bunch of warnings across the state about how there will be rolling blackouts or brownouts.
Right.
And how everyone needs to stop using power between hours X and Y. And those numbers change a lot.
Right.
But you need to... Don't use large appliances until after 10 p.m.
Why?
Well, because all the strain on the grid is when people get home from 3 p.m. to about 10 p.m. And then after 10 p.m., people start going to bed. And so TVs shut off and lights shut off. And basically all that's left is refrigerators running. And so the strain on the grid goes down. Well, if everyone does their laundry then, or their dishes in a dishwasher at that point. You have less strain on the grid from the air conditioners because, of course, the sun is down.
Right.
Less strain on the grid from the people who didn't pay any attention to this. So what they're trying to do is spread it out over the course of a whole day.
Okay.
Well, they've done this before, and back in the early 2000s, I think, was the last time this was going around. And the complaint at the time was, look, we don't have enough power. And, of course, we don't have enough power.
Right.
Now, if only we'd done a few shows on why we don't have enough power. But anyway.
Yeah, we've done a few shows on why we don't have enough power.
So,
but we're plebs. What do we know?
Right. The plan for the moment is just to ask people real nice. Well, this is what happened in the early 2000s.
Right.
Who remembers what came next?
We suffered a whole lot of blackouts and brownouts, and we started shunting power in from other states.
Yep. What do you think's coming next?
We're going to start shunting in power from other states?
Well, maybe. But about a month ago, we started talking about how the state legislature wanted to pass a bill saying that we couldn't do that because that energy wasn't green.
Okay.
Only really leaves one option.
We have a lot of blackouts.
Yeah. Across the whole state. And by the way, those brownouts and blackouts went on until we shut off half of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then everybody got pissed. I mean, dear Northern California, go to hell. Who cares?
Right.
But if you shut off half of Los Angeles, so it's going to be a while.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, a bunch of other things happened during that time, big to small. But the end result is we just start cutting power because we're going to force California to be the third world.
Yes.
And at this point, they're openly talking about it. In fact, some of the supportive stories of PG&E shutting off all these people's power because fires, right?
Right.
Are people going, well, we'll just stop using automatic meat slicers. Well, we'll have candles. Well, we'll quite literally push back to before electricity and just get used to it, California, because that is acceptable.
Right.
But we need to provide health care for immigrants from the third world. But God forbid you want a refrigerator.
No. We're cutting back on all this other stuff so that we can run our refrigerators.
Well,
because PG&E cutting the power needs to not happen. So stop using everything. Let the refrigerator run because you need to keep your food from spoiling.
PG&E is cutting power so they don't get sued. The state is telling the rest of the municipalities, stop using power.
Oh.
So, dear Northern California, you're screwed no matter what. Southern California, set your AC to 78. And by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, about 2/3 of this state right now, anywhere between 100 and 105 Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Pretty hot out here.
So, I mean, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Oh, that's going to go wrong.
Exactly. Oh, and for all the people without power or who have brownouts, because during that time you're not powering an AC unit.
Public pools will be at maximum capacity at all times.
That did happen in the early 2000s.
I wonder why.
Yeah, shocking.
With no power, no AC. Go to the pool.
Yeah.
Go to the lakes. Go to the rivers.
Yeah.
That's going to be the only thing. People will be encouraged to go outside and engage.
Remember what else happened back then?
What?
We had a big crime problem.
Oh, did we?
So, and I mean, who could see that coming?
Well, I mean, we have to give the police something to do.
Oh, is that what it is? We're trying to get our money out of the PD around here?
Yeah, so we can start stuffing those empty prisons.
That's very important. We need to make sure that those prisons are actually being used.
Because
when it
comes right down to it, we had an uptick in crime. Okay. The criminals decided they had to go out to the pool too and do criminal things.
Yes.
Then they got busted and they got sent to jail.
Yeah.
The bad thing is that a criminal did something bad.
Well, I mean, at this point, I guess we're just sending them to county lockup where they will beg to go to prison. So,
well, yeah,
there's that.
Like here in county, we ain't got AC here.
Right? And so, look, we are setting up every single thing that happened back in the 2000s to happen again.
Right.
And in the early 2000s, I'm sorry. Except this time, by the way, it won't be that when there were brownouts, they were, what, 6 to 8 hours most of the time, right?
Right.
Well, PG&E is shutting down whole towns for 2 days.
Right.
Because we need to inspect every power line. So everyone who was happy last year when we told you, look, don't be happy that PG&E got sued. I hope you're enjoying this, California.
This is what you asked for.
Because what else were they going to do?
I don't know. They have to inspect the lines, and they got to do it safely, and they have to make sure they don't burn down all the towns around them while they're doing it.
Yeah, and it can only happen during the day.
Right, because they need light.
Exactly.
So, I mean, stay out of the way. Hope they get it done fast.